are you ready to date after divorce? If you don't like being alone, maybe you haven't been sitting comfortably with silence on your own.
If your gut, is giving you one vibe, but he's a good looking guy and you're just kind of like, but just no.
Yeah.
Just walk away. Are you genuinely enjoying your life and are ready to have somebody to add to it?
Shortly after getting out of a relationship, it's also something that a man might look at as a red flag. So,
sure,
depending upon what your conversations and things look like.
Hey, all you midlife women out there, are you ready to step into spicy confidence? If the answer is yes, then we have some exciting news to share.
We are launching a one-on-one coaching program for midlife women who want to start showing up as the most confident version of themselves and who aren't afraid to go after what they really want.
This coaching program will help you discover your voice, embrace your desires, and develop your inner confidence so that you can truly live the authentic life you want without holding back.
There are only 3 spots available, ladies, so head to the link in the show notes and apply now. Now let's get into the episode. Hey, all you spicy midlife women out there. Jules and Michele here from Seattle, Washington.
Hey.
How are you guys? Hey, we are here to talk today about conversations you might already be having with your girlfriends, but we're going to have them with you as well because we're your other girlfriends. And we're
going to throw some spice into it.
Yeah. Just because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But these are the 5 signs that you are ready to date after divorce. And this follows our episode regarding divorce. So we thought this would be a really good one to kind of throw out there and, let you guys give yourselves a mental note on whether you're ready or not.
I think because we definitely ask ourselves that question a lot. Once divorce is done, there's still lingering dynamics when you're going through a divorce. Once the divorce is done, it's not like it's papers are signed, we're done, we can move on, right? And so
happens.
I mean, yeah, it happens. And I know mentally it probably, in our minds, it happens. But then there's all the things that start coming into play after that, right?
Yeah.
Dating being one of them, I'm sure. Maybe sooner than it is for others.
Yeah.
But eventually it does.
That is very true. And, we're not really talking, you guys, about being completely 100% healed because that is a process and everybody goes through things a little bit differently depending upon what your trauma is, I guess, or what your experience was. But this is really about you kind of determining where you're at in that process. And if you're in a position where you can actually entertain new people or be able to have conversations without involving your past, those sorts of things. And so just more of a mental note.
Well, because I don't think we wake up one day and all of a sudden are like, congratulations, you're 100% healed. Way to go. Let's go find somebody to date.
Yeah. No, it definitely does not work that way.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Because healing it's an ongoing process, obviously. We all continue to grow through that process and it looks a little different for everybody. But I think what we're more talking about are the signs that you shifted. There's been that shift from surviving your divorce to truly living again. And I think there's a big difference there. Signs that you're dating, for example, because you're excited about your future, not because you're trying to escape your past.
Or you're bored.
Yeah.
Or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just to kind of go back to those first comments, we really want you to walk away with the thought process that you will have. We want you to walk away with some thoughts on where you're at in this journey and give yourself, kind of, I wouldn't say a score, but give yourself an opportunity to really see truly where you're at, because we all think we're healed or we think we're okay. And, we really aren't. I can speak for myself, thinking that I was, and oh my gosh, I had no idea what healing I needed to do. And it wasn't like I was in some traumatic relationship. It wasn't like that type of healing. It was just more, kind of figuring out who I was, which as we've talked about on other episodes, we get lost a little bit, when we're not really paying attention to who we are, what we're doing, or what our role is in a relationship that we've invested in. So,
sure.
Yeah.
So whether you're divorced, separated, newly single, or have a girlfriend who might be navigating this chapter, our conversation today is for you. We hope that you'll hear something that resonates on every point and will give you the ability to reflect and have honest conversations with that girlfriend if it's her, or yourself if it's you,
Mm-hmm.
or with us, right? In the car while you're driving.
Yeah. Okay, guys, grab your glass of wine or your coffee or, your orange drink that I have and
Smoothie.
the smoothie. Yeah. And let's sit down and chat about this stuff. And don't worry, Michele, with her disclaimers, will always put some spice in there, some little sprinkles of something, right? Because we have some juicy stories.
You know it. You
for
know
sure.
it. Mm-hmm.
So let's get spicy. Let's talk about the first thing that we wanted to call out in regard to the questions on, are you ready to date after divorce?
You're no longer dating to fill the void. I think there's a difference there. This would be the first thing that I would think you would want to reflect on, right? Asking yourself, or recognizing that you hate being alone.
Mm-hmm. So when you say hate being alone, I'm wondering, it's like when you are so around chaos or not even chaos, just busyness in your household and your life with another person around or whatever, it's like, you kind of wonder, it's like, if you don't like being alone, maybe you haven't been sitting comfortably with silence on your own.
Well, and exactly. And that's where you have to, there's that, or are you genuinely enjoying your life and are ready to have somebody to add to it?
Yeah.
Right. So I think those are the things that you'll know if you're, trying to fill a void.
Right.
You're not then genuinely happy with where you're at in life and looking for somebody to add to it. So that I think is a sign for deeper reflection on what's going on there. Loneliness versus fulfillment, for example. Okay. I don't know.
And some people are relationship people, so they think that's, where they're supposed to be, but they haven't really gone through and figured out what has driven them to the place they're in right now.
And some of the differences between that and, needing validation or wanting companionship.
Yeah.
There's a difference between those things.
But companionship when you're dating, it's a different ball game altogether. Just depending upon, I have fun companionship kind of stuff when I go out and when I've dated and stuff, but it's very different than like relationship kind of stuff. You're not getting into things deeply. You're just having fun, and a lot of the deep conversations that you might have with your girlfriends anyway. You're not going to necessarily have with those people. I think the whole hating to be alone thing is really something that's important to call out because I think that when people have gone through these situations, they're already kind of in a place where they're on their own, right? Because they don't really have the same companion kind of situation going on that you think about when you think about like a solid marriage,
right?
Or a solid relationship.
It's very different.
So they are very much on their own already. So getting out of that relationship, then they start thinking to themselves, probably logically, well, I've already been by myself for a while, so I'm good. I'm able to get out there and I want to have fun. I want to enjoy other people's company, that sort of thing. But they're not really thinking about all the little wounds and things along the way.
Well, so here's a question that can be asked. If nobody asked you out on a date for 6 months, would life still feel good?
Yeah, well, it depends what you got going on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important question in regard to this first thing we're talking about, not dating to fill a void. Asking yourself that question.
How much time do you, and I know it's different for everybody, but it's like, how much time do you think would be appropriate for, someone after they're out of a divorce? Or, I laughed when I asked this
for
question.
Everybody.
Yeah, because, even like if someone's widowed, for example, or there's a widower, people give them, there's an appropriate amount of time before they can get out and date somebody. When they maybe had a really great relationship and they just are lonesome, they're ready for something else. They're relationship people.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I don't think there's a timeline per se.
There's so much judgment out there, right?
I know.
There really is.
I know.
Sadly.
Well, and I'm not even gonna lie. When I see that, I see men or women, but they're out like mixing it up already right after they get out of something, that is, to me, that's a huge red flag.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. Yeah. I'm talking about like when I've dated with men that have just literally gotten out of a relationship. I remember I went out with this one guy, so cute, so sweet, really great guy. And we were having like in-depth conversations, a little more in-depth, conversations. Maybe it was the second date or something. And I was like, so how long have you been single? And 3 weeks.
Well,
and I'm like, okay. 3 weeks, that's not very long. It's
Yeah.
like, I wasn't even quite sure what to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think for some that is probably somewhat, I'm not going to use the word therapeutic. That's the word that came to mind. But
Mhm.
sometimes, maybe after a long, difficult, tumultuous, depending on the circumstances, like we said, it's
Yeah.
different for everybody. He might be just like, fuck yeah, here, I'm going to go live it up. The last 6 months or year, however long it took,
Mhm.
has been living hell. I'm just going to let
have
go and have a good time.
Yep.
And that's what I mean. It's like, when you see somebody doing that, who knows what the circumstances are? And yeah, it can be easy to go, geez, that's probably not a good idea. But,
Well, but as a woman, it's like you're protecting you're protecting your heart and you're protecting your peace. And when
Mhm.
you have gotten out of a relationship that has uh, bruised those things,
Yeah,
bruised your heart, or maybe you're the one that left the relationship. It
right.
doesn't mean that you're not hurting.
Of course.
You know,
Mhm.
and I guess it does sound a tiny bit judgy, and
Mhm.
I'm okay with that
Yeah.
actually on this front,
Yeah.
just because I feel like if you're not going to protect your heart, who else is going to?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, you as a woman going out and dating shortly after getting out of a relationship is also something that a man might look at as a red flag. So,
Sure.
depending upon what your conversations and things look like,
Right.
which kind of segues me into the next one.
Yeah.
If you were out on a date with a, a man, for example, and all he did was talk about his ex-wife or bash his ex-wife or say, stuff about his ex-wife or his
Yeah.
ex-girlfriend, how would you feel about that?
That to me is kind of a red flag.
You think?
Yeah.
That's like
That's
a sea of red
yeah,
flags.
that's a big red flag. Yeah, that's pretty not cool,
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
and
And
wouldn't be fun to listen to.
no, but it also is a good indicator that that person has not
Not healed.
healed. Yeah.
Yeah, so hence the second one we're talking about
Yeah.
is when does your ex control your emotions still?
Mhm.
Or, you kind of, I guess what we're talking about is being healed and ready to date. So that would be when your ex does not control your emotions
Right.
anymore. That's would be an indicator of healing.
So little signs that you're not past that yet
Yeah.
would be that you're having constant conversations about this person or about what they did to you or how they wronged you or whatever.
Right.
So if you're still doing that, and you're with your girlfriends because, girlfriends, we will listen to anything. That's our job.
Hmm.
Then that would be an indicator that you're probably not ready to focus on something else.
Right.
That, in my opinion, that
Yeah.
would be.
And it doesn't mean that, you love them, you forgive everything and that you're friends
Mhm.
if you are able, if you,
Right.
but when you find yourself to be emotionally neutral
Mhm.
on those past things, it's truly freedom
Yeah.
when that can happen. And even, I mean, that didn't happen for me. I mean, I was 5 years after my divorce when I was starting to kind of seriously date. And that was still a huge that was a problem for me.
Dating or waiting to date?
Not the dating, but letting my ex get to my emotions by calling me when maybe I was out or texting me. There was some really big dynamics surrounding my situation.
But you
So
weren't pining after him.
I was not pining
No,
after
God,
him.
no.
No, but
He was pining after you.
I did some things that were that enabled me to break free from that and block the block on your phone
Mhm.
using that feature can sometimes be difficult, especially if there's children.
Right.
But when you're able to block and not give your time and energy to that constant intrusion
Right.
that can come from your phone. It is very freeing and it makes you realize how able you are to continue and not letting that control
Mhm.
your emotions.
Yeah.
And that in itself helped me along that path and was truly, yeah.
So in that time frame, and I feel this way too, but in that time frame, if your ex had told you, "I've met somebody and I'm getting married," how would you have felt?
I would have been totally fine.
Yeah.
I would have had some concerns for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have been totally fine with.
I would have too. I would have definitely, I'd be fine still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the things that I was worried about or healing over are still just like, it was just beyond myself about just how you can go from having someone who says they love you. This is where I had a hard time to
Yeah.
saying such horrible things about you.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, and I can't say I didn't let it get to me. Of course I did.
Yeah. And definitely. And yeah, we're not saying that none of that's going to be going on when you're moving on, because there is a certain level of that.
Mhm.
Typically that can happen. I'm not saying across the board 100% all the time.
Mhm.
But it is very interesting. And so, yes, there would be that heightened emotion in regard to those things, because it's just kind of unbelievable and very different that
Yeah.
it's even possible sometimes.
Someone else sees something,
No,
sees them differently.
your ex who, yes,
Mhm.
has gone from, it's just the transition that goes along with divorce,
Yeah.
and the conversations and the statements and the words that can be said and put out there that are just, to your point, really sometimes kind of unbelievable.
Yeah. I know. It's just, human nature is so
It's like,
amazing.
okay, but that
And I'm
does
sure our
help
audience
you.
has experienced that too, because you
Yeah.
don't see that many amicable divorces out there
Yeah.
or amicable
There's some.
breakups.
I've seen
There's
some.
definitely some.
They're out there, and kudos to them
Right.
for being able to do it,
Especially with kids involved and stuff.
especially with kids. Yeah.
Now, as you get kind of further out of the divorce time frame and into, other things in your life, start the healing process, and feel like you're meeting other people, you're doing things maybe you didn't do before, going out, that kind of thing. Those things become easier,
Yeah.
I've found, or
And
they just kind of get buried a little bit.
And just know, when we say divorce, I mean, that's for a married couple. This can be for a partnership
Yeah.
that's been long-term, same thing, a split, a divorce,
Mhm.
whatever it might
Yeah.
be, same concept.
Someone you've invested your life in,
Yeah.
at that point.
What about this third one is when I like the difference in these words when you're looking for compatibility
Mhm.
and not rescue. I think that's huge.
My gosh, yes. When you say
There's a big difference
when you say
between that.
rescue, are you saying like to rescue your attention?
Save them financially, make them feel worthy, fix their loneliness, erase the pain, prove that they're lovable. I think all of those things are along the lines of rescue, I think.
And that's where you can become super vulnerable to someone who is more narcissistic.
Yeah.
And love bombing.
Yes.
And, breadcrumbing. And it's like, if you've dated, you've heard all these terms probably before. But if you're looking for a savior, or you're, without even maybe realizing that that's what you're doing,
Right.
maybe it's a very subconscious thing, but you're going to end up being very vulnerable to people that have those tendencies,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
perhaps being too agreeable, to make things work, or to not create arguments. Or, I mean, I've been around people where I've been like, oh gosh, you can just feel the energy
Mhm.
shift to
Yeah.
something that doesn't make sense or
Mhm.
doesn't feel right. And
Yeah.
at first, when I was dating, I didn't pick up on any of that. I didn't pick up on any of it. I just took things at face value. And I can tend to be an overthinker, right?
Mhm.
So I try to not do that. But now I see things differently because I've had a little more
Right.
experience with it,
And those are things that you do grow in
Right.
knowledge as you move through the path of dating,
Mhm.
especially after being in a long-term relationship, whether it be
Yeah.
marriage or otherwise. And I think that a sign of a woman that is more on the path of healing would be, is this person emotionally
Mhm.
available, as opposed to, does he like me?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's very different.
Well, and does he like me sounds very high school. Very great. Great. But
Does he like
true.
me?
Does he like me? It's like, but that's a sign of, you're also maybe insecure
I
in
wonder
this
if he
whole
likes me.
dating world,
Yeah.
and
Insecurity. Mhm.
and a lot of that comes from people just not communicating right, I would say.
Mhm.
But again, putting your self as a priority.
Yeah.
Emotionally unavailable people, which by the way I seem to be drawn to, are are out there more than you think.
Yeah.
And so everything on the surface feels really good, but then something just doesn't feel right. And you have to really trust your spidey senses, I think.
Yeah.
So staying away from emotionally unavailable people.
Mhm.
And if you are emotionally unavailable, then you're going to be that person for them to stay away from. So
Yeah.
you got to figure that stuff out first.
Yeah.
Where do you think emotional unavailability comes from?
I mean, unhealed trauma.
Yeah. But it doesn't have to necessarily be around the opposite sex.
That's
Could
what I
be
mean. Unhealed trauma. That's
yeah.
just like a general statement.
Yeah.
That could be a lot of things, having nothing to do with romantic or
right.
marriage or dating relationships.
It's very, I liken it to being very surface level interaction with people because you don't let them get
everything
deep.
is everything is like tucked way away and deep down, and we're just putting on that.
But do you think when you first start dating after being divorced that you're not necessarily going to be vulnerable in that same way anyway?
I think you're still guarded.
Yeah.
Definitely still guarded.
So it's finding the balance.
And there's, finding a balance and experiencing different things to recognize where you're at, these things that we're talking about.
Right.
And another one is if you have taken responsibility for your part of, patterns, the things that you've gone through as you have, gone through the split, are trying to heal and taking responsibility for patterns maybe that were, your part. That's hard to do.
Well, when you're in a relationship, there's two of you. I mean, you're either creating issues or, absorbing issues if there's a problem. And if, you have somebody who you're in a relationship with that is emotionally unavailable or is not kind, when they're talking to you or, whatever you're doing, you take the responsibility of staying.
Yeah.
So we all have a part, to your point.
Yeah.
And you have to look at what your part is. Like with mine, I look at my part of being just like completely shut down and not being able, I just couldn't talk about things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't for not wanting to.
Right.
I just didn't necessarily feel like I was going to be heard. So I made that assumption and just stopped talking.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we do a lot of
It's
times.
that way to a certain degree.
Yeah.
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 Same.
And that's a protective mode as well.
Yes, it is.
And
so, patterns, like I was saying, there's boundaries that you have to take responsibility for. And whether you didn't have them and needing to have them as part of being healed. The people pleasing that we tend to do, like you we're alluding to a little bit, that can go along the lines of people pleasing.
Absolutely.
When we, tuck everything away and we just put on a front, not paying attention to red flags, all of those things, that we've been talking about.
And feeling kind of unlovable,
yeah.
I think the spicy truth to all of this is...
And staying way too long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hello.
Light bulb moment.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
The reality is that, the healed you is going to just tolerate less.
Right.
Or is going to, put up boundaries. That's a very like woo-woo kind of.
I know it is a woo.
Yeah. There's a few things you hear people say, triggers, boundaries, things like that probably come straight out of a therapy session.
Right.
But you don't need to be a therapist to know that, you need to have boundaries around.
Well, it's the ability to own your side.
Right.
Without carrying all the blame.
Yeah.
Because,
but it's also it's not pushing everything over to the other person.
Right.
Which is really
owning
super
your side,
easy to
that's
do.
what I mean. Yeah. And taking responsibility for that, not carrying all the blame, but then not finger pointing all of it to the other person.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as healing and what we're talking about, owning that, taking responsibility for your part.
So audience, it's like, ask yourself that mental question. Are you owning it? And maybe you were with a horrible, horrible person, who has absolutely no business being in your life. And you let them in your life anyway.
Yeah.
What's your role? What do you own of that? So, I want to throw some rapid fire questions at you. This is my fun thing. I love doing this.
I hate this because I'm not good at it.
Yeah, you are. You're better at it than you think. Okay. Would you go on 3 dates because he's nice, even though there's no chemistry?
Probably.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you just wanted to go.
I mean, so yeah, there's segues to this. It would depend on it, where I'm at in dating.
Yeah.
Am I looking
like you're ready to date again?
Well, am I looking for a relationship though?
Yeah.
If I'm not looking for a relationship, I have no problem with going out on 3 dates with a nice guy.
Yeah. If you're just going out, if you're going out for escapades?
Well, that's a hard question because no, then the answer would be no.
Okay.
Like if they're nice and wanting to sleep with me or other things, then no, I wouldn't do that. I would be done at 1.
You'd be done at 1. Okay.
Yes.
Because there's no chemistry?
Yes.
Okay. Chemistry can be kind of overrated, people tell me, but whatever. Would you date someone because you're bored?
Probably not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'd rather be home.
Yeah, I know, right? So true.
I'd rather be home with Michele, going through my closet and figuring out what to throw away.
Here's a good one for you.
Okay.
Would you keep texting someone who only texts after 10 p.m.?
No. Hell to the no.
Yeah.
No.
See, I knew that would be Julie's answer. That was an easy rapid fire question for you.
It's like, gee, I wonder if he's married or if he has. I mean, that's just so obvious to me.
What about ignoring your gut?
I've done that before.
Well, I mean, because he's attractive. Like, do you ignore what your gut's telling you because he's like
honestly,
smoking hot, really good-looking guy?
I got to be honest with you. It's like, even if he's smoking, first of all, if he's smoking hot, I probably wouldn't trust him anyway.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm not completely kidding. If he is, no, that almost makes him more unattractive to me. I feel like even if he's good looking on the outside, it's like he's kind of icky on the inside if he's being a hoe like that.
I mean, bottom line, audience, ladies, whoever's listening, your gut will never steer you wrong.
Understatement of the year.
Time.
Yeah.
We do. We hear this all the time, but it is so true. Mm-hmm. So if your gut, is giving you one vibe, but he's a good looking guy and you just kind of like, but just no.
Yeah.
Just walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Walk away. Yeah. So anyways, would you stay if you've already invested 3 months?
No.
In something or somebody, 3 months? Like, yeah, I knew that. I knew that about you too.
No, and that's my problem is that I don't give it long enough half the time. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's anything wrong. It's like I've been out with people that are super nice. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel the chemistry or the connection in the same way.
Don't waste your time.
I can't see jumping their bones at some point. If I can't see that, then I'm kind of like,
yeah, if that's not happening. Well, I mean, if you're not feeling it.
Not like I'm going to jump their bones after 3.
Right,
I'm just saying.
Not feeling that or the chemistry's not there after 3 months or whatever the reasons are. It's like, if things aren't on somewhat of a trajectory of progression, then you should probably just.
They're just a friend.
Back her down. Friend zone.
And I have lots of friends that are, former people I've dated.
So I guess this episode, we've kind of thrown a lot out there. But healing, ladies, it doesn't mean we're perfect. It doesn't mean you're fearless. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that you never get triggered. It just means you no longer are abandoning yourself for somebody else. And I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So let's recap these 5. Okay. So we can have like a mental note that people can take, at the end of this episode. So am I dating because I'm excited about someone or because I'm uncomfortable being alone? That's a good question to ask yourself. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah. Does thinking about your ex still take a lot of emotional energy? That would be question number 2.
Okay. Am I looking to have somebody fix stuff in my life for me? Is having a person in my life going to fix my life?
Yeah. What patterns from my marriage have I worked to change? So what are you changing about those past patterns? Like we're talking about taking responsibility.
Huge.
Right? What responsibility are you taking for those patterns and change?
And then what boundaries will I never compromise again? Yeah. That's a really big one.
Yeah.
And it may take you a little while to figure that out, because you have to figure out what your standards are to know what your boundaries are. Mm-hmm. And going back to Michele's comment about your gut check yourself. Oh my gosh. I've been told that Mary, my friend Mary, has talked to me about that too, because she is it's more of an empath thing. I'd be kind of oblivious to things sometimes. And she'd say something and I'd be like, oh, I never really thought of that, So, being more self-aware apparently makes a big difference. But yeah.
Just keep in mind that healing it's not a race. Right? We don't have to race to accomplish all these things. It's a process.
Mm-hmm. And we're not looking for perfection.
No,
I certainly am not.
Not looking for perfection. My process took 5 years, and honestly, it's an ongoing, in some way, shape, or form. It's a process every single day. So it's just, hopefully these things we talked about give you a foundation, some kind of a foundation for more, fulfilling, healthy relationships going forward. So
yeah. So if you can answer these questions confidently with oh, hell yeah, I'm totally past that, or I've accomplished that, then you're probably ready. Mm-hmm. And then there's the next question of, okay, who are you going to date?
Yeah. Get out there.
Get out there. And that's a whole other several episodes probably. But in the meantime, we want to appreciate, in the meantime, Thank you so much for listening. And we are on all the socials, as Michele maybe has not mentioned yet, but that's her job. She always says
all
that.
the socials, you know what they are: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. If you check us out over there, please follow and subscribe. We would love that and appreciate it so much. And get out there, ladies, get after it. And until next week, stay spicy.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.